When it came to the visual for this album, I had no idea what it was going to look like. I was so focused on the songs themselves. That's just kind of where my head was. Even though the music is most important, the visual can be very, very close in that regard. So it was important to me that each of these songs had a visual with it and that it really supported and drove home the message of the song.
Doopity doop doop.
Always made of gold. Oh, Lord. Hang on,
Okay. You maybe can't even see it in the video.
Okay. Finding the visual for each video was definitely interesting because I feel like they came different ways. For Bite My Tongue, it was one of those things where I had talked to Marty and he was like, this is gonna be the song that has to have like the best video. One night, I remember just laying in bed thinking, what am I gonna do for this video? All of a sudden, I started seeing colors. I saw black and red and white. And then I saw all these like extreme like clips in my head, just absurd, weird scenes that didn't make sense. So I just grabbed my phone and started jotting all the ideas down as fast as possible. I was able to kind of put them together, and so I started ordering props, and before we knew it, we were like creating this music video. It was the most fast-paced video I've ever done when it comes to production. Almost like doing a live performance where you have a million things going on and you're the star and the editor and it's you have to be everywhere at once. So to have a team that was able to help me was amazing.
My name's Elise. I'm Hannah's sister, and I also helped direct and film some of the music videos.
I am Christy, and I was the videographer.
So the process of Bite My Tongue, in my opinion, it was supposed to be the most interesting video. It was kind of complicated. I'm trying to find ideas that were unique and edgy, but not cheesy at the same time. We just took a lot of inspiration. Or Walking the Human.
Yeah.
That was like kind of Lady Gaga-ish type thing. Yeah, that's basically where I drew a lot of my inspiration from.
So for me as the videographer, it was a lot of just making sure I was capturing it well, capturing it right, making sure everything was symmetrical, everything where it is something that would catch your eye. We don't want to like lose your attention at all during the entirety of the video. And then a lot of creative shots, like using the pendulum with the video and being able to keep that on beat as you're videoing, making sure the camera doesn't fly off. Definitely a lot of effort in just each individual shot.
At one point we were recording in this red box and I had visualized these microphones hanging around my head in this red box because I thought that would look cool. And then as we were putting them up, the staples would not go through the box or the cables, and I didn't want to split all the cables. So we ended up doing something completely different where we tied the microphones around my neck and kind of pulled them out. I didn't know what we were doing at the time. I was like, okay, we're just compromising, like film this, film that. I have no idea how this is going to tie in. It's going to be a super abstract video. And as I was starting to edit these clips, after the shooting was done, I was completely shocked at how relevant the clips were. It wasn't abstract at all to the message of this song for Bite My Tongue. The microphones being tied around my neck, kind of indicated being choked by your own words. My sister was walking me on a leash across the street, and once again, that's another way of being kind of chained down to your words and being a slave to them. Another part where I fell back into the pool was kind of like a surrendering moment in the song, at the bridge of like, I kind of give up. It just so accurately represented the lyrics, and to be honest, that's nothing that I came up with. It, in my opinion, divinely worked out that way.
The hardest part of that video was getting the water shot where she falls back into the pool. We filmed that probably 2 to 3 different times at different locations.
One day I took my sister and we went over to this pool to film the fall again. So she got on the ladder. The water was so cold and it hurt so bad falling back. My feet were underneath the ladder and I didn't realize it. But as I fell back, I felt my feet pull the ladder out and I hear Elise, my sister, start to fall. And I can't do anything because I'm literally falling backwards. So we're both falling at the same time. The ladder goes into the pool. Elise and the camera go down onto the concrete.
Last time we did it, I broke my wrist, but we got the shot, and that's all that I care about.
The video for Bad Behavior was different because for me it was more of a vibe than it was a story. When I saw Bad Behavior, I saw colors again. I saw blue and black. There were like leather jackets, fast cars. I wanted it to be like a rock vibe, like in your face type thing. When it came to the outfits, it was a little bit unique in the sense of I was wearing what I considered to be a very devil-like costume. When I think of the devil, I don't necessarily think of like the horns and all of that stuff. I think of someone that looks very proud and very confident.
I loved Hannah's outfit in that one and being able to film just like the grandeur from the contrast between going to like the smaller churches to downtown with the bigger churches and showing the difference in those two phases and how it relates to the song. That was something that was really inspiring to me.
When it came to the ruins of a castle, we went to Fort Pickens over in Pensacola Beach because I didn't want it to look like a beach. I wanted it to look like a ruined castle because that's what the whole song talked about, is having this huge ego and this pride and being so confident in yourself and then it just completely shattering. And so to have those two dynamics between the churches and then the ruins, it like just came together so well. The initial plan for Bad Behavior when it came to the car was to have these drone shots of driving down almost a deserted road. It was going to be this big muscle car. It was going to be awesome. So I rented this car, right? We brought it back and it was barely working. It was not very safe to drive at all.
And we got in it to start filming some of the shots with Hannah, like in the car. Whenever she's like walking around the car, we drove around some neighborhoods back there, and Mr. Howie had to drive it because that thing was a death trap. Every time we tried to get out, the door wouldn't open, so Mr. Howie would have to like jam it open. It would not start, it was really hot.
And then weather that day, oh my gosh, every scene that we shot was outside.
The weather was so gloomy for the entirety of the video. We were hoping the sun would come out, but it ended up just being completely gloomy, but it fit the theme of the video in my opinion.
I know at one point we were recording at Fort Pickens and we were supposed to meet the guys to do the shots in a parking garage. However, it started pouring when they came out, and then there was this huge festival downtown, so you couldn't even get to the parking garage. I was kind of losing my mind because I'm like, how are we going to film an entire band scene when it's like raining outside? We don't have anywhere to film. So I actually came to my studio. I pulled everything out and away from one wall. So I took black paint and a huge paintbrush and just wrote on the wall like Bad Behavior in huge letters and just kind of let it drip.
This wall behind us was very last minute. So we were like, what can we do in the garage at the house? And then Hannah actually came up with this, which I think was super cool.
And at the time I was like, okay, this is just gonna have to do. But when I went to post-production, I was like, you know what? This looks way cooler than a parking garage. Like, I would not have been able to put this together. It worked out in the end, and the video gave the exact vibe that I wanted of this like powerful trip. I was really surprised with the outcome. The video for Made of Gold, I wouldn't say it was hard to figure out what I wanted. It was just everything on this album. I wanted it to be super high energy, and Made of Gold, I knew it couldn't have that. It needed to be more focused on the message and very simplistic. So I got colored contacts in, hoping that I could, you know, do this thing where everything is black and white except for my eyes, which are bright gold. The whole video being in black and white kind of signified the lyrics and the representation there of feeling dark and lost and, you know, isolated. There were moments throughout the video where not only the gold in my eyes showed through, but there were some gold flowers, there was some gold leaves falling down, there's rays of sun coming through.
I actually had one of my family members come to me and how they were really touched by the song and the music video because it reminded them of someone that they were really close to and they really related to that song deeply. And so it was really awesome to be able to see that and just see the impact it has.
But I actually had a ton of people reach out and say that they had either been in a position where they felt that same way towards a loved one, or that they were the person in that scenario where they felt hopeless and that this song meant something to them. Talking with the Devil was actually the last video we filmed. The very beginning lyrics talk about talking with the devil in the Garden of Eden, basically. And being in this beautiful place and trusting this person and then realizing it was a mistake. So when I visualized it, I saw gardens and outside and roses and just beautiful landscaping. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to film this at a garden, like a rose garden. When I think of a garden, I think of a lot of pastels, like blues, pinks. I saw yellow, and so I definitely wanted to make sure those colors were brought up in this video and that was kind of the visual highlight. Even though we're in a garden, I wanted the color to really pop.
We definitely focused more on aesthetic than we did like plot line, which I think ended up working really well. It was kind of this mix between fairy tale, you know, utopia-ish type thing, and then the rock aspect of it.
That was a lot of fun being the videographer, going out to Bellingrath Gardens to have, I feel like, a little bit more input on this because there's so much out there, so many different places that we could film.
I really kind of splurged with the outfits. I found this dress that had a bunch of roses and flowers on it that I actually saw before I even thought of this video. I tried it on like a year ago at some store and I loved it. I thought it was gorgeous, but it was expensive and I was like, I'm never gonna wear this. I convinced myself, I was like, if I can make a music video around this dress, then I can buy it. So I did.
Old people!
We roll up to the garden, nobody there,
It's perfect.
and we
Serene.
turn around, there's this huge bus of senior citizens. So we're like, you know what, whatever, they're old people, they're probably gonna be kind of slow.
We'll work around them.
Yeah, we go to the garden house and we're filming and we turn around and they're just like swarming, like coming towards the garden house so fast, like all of them at once. And that was difficult. Obviously they have a right to be there.
Yeah.
But it was just a little bit frustrating trying to get all these shots and not get people in it and not have the music too loud and be disrespectful.
Normally when we film, people are usually pretty polite. We try to be polite ourselves and not get in their way or anything like that. They're just so unaware of their surroundings and they're just having a good day, having a great day, walking around, walk right through the shot. We're like in just a tiny little corner over here and they just walk through. Like there's so many other places to walk. But eventually they made their way to the Great Lawn and we stayed out of there.
Talking with the Devil was the first music video that Tyler, our new guitarist, did with us.
The EP was already recorded when I joined the band, so all the songs are already done. Most of the videos already shot. That was about when I kind of came in, was when they started releasing those first videos for the EPs. For Talking with the Devil, that video I am in. Not on the song, but I am in that video.
And so this was the only opportunity for him to be in a music video on this album. So to have him come in for the first time and kind of see what we do, and then for us to also see how he's interactive with music videos was really cool, and that was really special to all of us. Better in a Straitjacket was by far the most difficult video to shoot. And it wasn't even logistically speaking that it was the hardest, it was mentally and emotionally the hardest.
Hannah presented Made of Gold and Better in a Straitjacket at the same time, and they were kind of similar ideas, and I was just like, no, like this song is a banger. Like it needs its own full story, it needs to be raw, it needs to convey absolutely everything the song is talking about.
As soon as she told me that, like I felt my stomach drop because I knew she was right and I was scared to death. It was difficult because I was still going through a lot of those same feelings, not only the time that it was written, but the time that it was about to be released. For me to be put in a position where I am vulnerable on camera was absolutely horrifying for me. And everything I have ever created before has been about, you know, the persona, the energy, you know, keeping people's attention and everything, and this was just gonna be straight raw. And I didn't like that idea at all, but at the same time I knew in my heart that that's what was right for this song.
I didn't want it to like glamorize mental illness, I wanted it to show what it actually feels like.
So I told my sister, I said, okay, if that's the case, if it needs to be this raw thing, then you're gonna have to direct it because there's no way I'm gonna be able to do that.
And I think Hannah did an absolutely amazing job filming and conveying that. even though it was really hard for her, I was very proud of how it turned out.
The song itself talks about no matter what you do, you can't get out of your own head, and everything that you seem to do to try to help is absolutely worthless and makes it worse. And so you get to this dark position where you don't want to even leave your own house. You want to be isolated. You feel safer in a straitjacket. I feel like the message of the visual ended up talking more about the mental health side of it, whereas the lyrics talked about the relational side of it. But for this video, I decided I was going to take a shot or two before we did it. And it actually put me in the perfect spot as an actress for this, because I felt so like numb and sedated after taking 2 shots. They were also very comedic moments, because at this point I was very tipsy. There was a moment where I was sitting in this chair and my sister said, okay, I want you to like fall over at this point. So I sat here and like I fell over, but it was like the most awkward fall ever. My legs did not move. I was like stiff as a rock, and I just like didn't flinch at all. Yeah, I was definitely sedated for that video. We all laughed. I ended up breaking a camera stand. We had to reset up the set because I had completely messed it up by falling over. We ended up filming all of the scenes where I'm in a cell in my studio. We literally just set up some pillows and a white backdrop. My sister played the nurse, which is cool because she was also directing this film and she is actually a nurse. When we wanted to film the scenes where it looked like an asylum, we actually went to Old Sacred Heart Hospital in downtown Pensacola.
It was so fun to be able to work with Elise, being more so on the directing side. This was one I definitely feel like I took a little bit of a backseat and just made sure I captured their vision of what they wanted in the video.
And then it came to editing, and somehow that was worse. It's difficult in any position to be playing every part of a project from beginning to end, where it's like, you know, songwriter, you know, musician, vocalist, and then now you're producer of videos, you're also the actress in the videos, and now you're the marketing person, you're the editor. Like, playing all those roles is difficult, but for this one, it was like almost unbearable. Watching myself kind of fall apart on camera, like I physically had to turn away a few times because it was that hard for me to watch. Just the pain coming back and surfacing is not something that's easy to watch. I mean, the whole song talks about running from the pain, and here I am facing it, literally facing it with myself. And, you know, from an editing standpoint, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, what am I doing? And even though I was having all these emotions and feelings about it, I knew that it needed to be shared because I knew I was not the only person that felt this way. My sister, she definitely wanted to convey a message with the video of this, and, you know, I owed it to her as well for directing something so, in my opinion, overall beautiful. I didn't want it to end on like a happy, break-free moment. When it comes to addiction, depression, any kind of mental disorder, there's not always relief in that, in the sense of like it's something you struggle with your entire life. You find ways to deal with it and ways to cope with it and manage it. When we filmed the last scenes, I just didn't like my facial expression. It didn't convey what I was trying to say. And so we ended up doing a reshoot of the ending scenes to make it look more like there was some bit of relief, but not total freedom. It was one of those things where I had finished it and then I had to face quickly, okay, this is about to be released and people are about to see this. And it was a vulnerable state for me emotionally because, you know, the lyrics are out there, but it was also a vulnerable state for me physically too, because for all of these other videos I was super glammed up. Going from that to like almost no makeup and actually makeup to make myself look sick and like I just wasn't healthy at all. And so knowing in my head that that was about to be released and people are about to see me in this light, it was really scary. I posted the initial photos of the scenes. I was shaking before I even posted it. And then I finally hit it. And then I had to walk away and like take a moment because it was so difficult. But at the same time, after the video was released, I had a lot of people, you know, reach out and say it meant something huge to them.
I wasn't anticipating all the attention for Better in a Straitjacket. That was actually very touching for me, being the first video I directed and kind of putting my heart and soul and watching Hannah put everything out on the line for that video and seeing it get, you know, so much responses and good responses.
I know without a doubt that I did what I was supposed to. I think that if I would have gone another direction, or if I wasn't as vulnerable as I was in that video, that I probably would have regretted it because it wasn't true to form and true to self.
From the first time I heard the songs, I knew it was going to be their most successful album because every song just was absolutely perfect. Bite My Tongue, when that came out, I expected it to have a lot of views and a lot of response, but not that much. And then after that, I was like, the rest of this album was just going to go up because it only gets better.
Having friends talk to me about it, the message we were trying to convey succeeded is something that I always love hearing from people. I'm not on social media a lot, and so being able to tell people like, oh yeah, I'm the videographer, it's always fun. Jumping in the gun, they make music, we do the videos, but at the same time they have so much heart behind it and a message that they're getting across with every song. Everything has so much meaning and symbolism. And so seeing people pick that up is something that's so awesome.
By doing music videos for each of the songs, it pushed them even further. I am a very visual person, so I know how much a music video means to me. For some people it's like, oh, it's just, something to promote your song. But for me, it was like, no, this is like the other half of the story. The songs can stand alone by themselves, but for someone that's as visual as me, it definitely made an impact and reached more people. I think just because it had this whole visual energy. I received such an overwhelming response. Just people coming through and being honest about, how the video and the music affected them, which is what it's all about for me, really. It's a lot of fun for me to create music and find out more about myself. It means even more to me to find that people relate to it and they don't feel so alone after, listening to something or watching something.